friends, it's Christy. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to day 18 of my 2019 holiday card series. Today I'm going to be making a card using some Hello Bluebird images. I'm using Merry Pigs and Snow Play. So I've stamped out my images on some Nina Solar White cardstock with Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and I'm coloring with my Copic markers. I'm starting with my pigs, and for them I'm using YR000, YR00, and YR01. I'm laying in my shadows first with that YR01, and then I'm going to start to blend that out with the YR00. And I just really love this combination for pigs. There are a few different ones that work well, but I really like the subtle kind of peachy tone that you get with these markers. I think it's probably the most realistic combination that I have tried. And then I'm going to just fill in what remains with the YR000 so he has a nice highlight. And then the second pig I'll be coloring off screen. This is actually going to be a 2-for-1 video today. I'm making 2 cards using these images. So I decided to use YR02 on the noses to just give them a little extra contrast, and then I'm blending that out with the YR01 and the YR00 for my lightest. I'll use R20 to give them some rosy cheeks so they look extra cheerful and happy for the holidays. And then I'm going to take the C3 and C5 to color in their little hooves, just using a little C5 on the left and then blending to the right with the C3. And while I have those markers out, I'm also going to color in several other images, including the faces on the cardinals, the lantern, the roof on the barn, and the metal part of the sleigh. And then I'm moving on to my red combo. I'm using R29, R39, and R59. This is my favorite red combo. You've seen me use it lots. And so I'm starting with that R59 on the outside edge of the little pig's scarf, and then just blending toward the inside. There's not a ton of room there, so I'm just using the very tip of my marker to get into those small areas. And then I'm also going to color in the cardinals with this combination. It's such a nice bright red. I will use a little extra of the darker colors on them just to add a little more contrast. And then I'll really make them pop with that R29 closer to the face. I'm also going to color in several other images off camera, including the barn and the Santa hat, and the bottom of the sleigh, and a gift, and another little ribbon. Then I'm moving on to my green combination. I'm using YG61, YG63, and YG67. I'm just using those 2 darker shades to color in the Christmas tree just by doing some quick flicks to match the lines that are drawn there in the illustration. And then I'm also going to color in the gift bow in the pig's hands that's on the far right there. And for that I am using all 3 shades, including that YG61. I'll also color in the little gift that's on the ground between the 2 pigs with those 3 shades, and then color in the little candle with the YG67 as well. For the Christmas tree trunk, I'm going to use E44. I'm just going to color it in with that 1 shade since it's super skinny. And then I'm going to move over to my little mouse, and for him I'm using E41, E43, and E44. Just doing some shading on his right side. If you noticed, I shaded the critters in the directions that they're facing so that the highlight would be on their faces and their shadows would be at their backs. So I just put his shadows along his back as well. And then I also put a little color up on his ears. And then I'm going to use YR21 and YR23 to color in the star on the Christmas tree and the hay up in the hayloft. And I also used the YR21 for the candle. I forgot to do it right now, but I go back and do it later off camera. And then I use those 2 shades for the ribbon on the mouse's gift. And then I'm also going to color in the gift that's in the little piggy's hands and the other little piggy's scarf. So even though I'm only using 2 markers for this combination, I am going back and adding a little extra of the YR23 to darken things up. You can see this better on the piggy's scarf here. I'm going to lay in that YR23 and then blend out with the YR21, and then I'll go back and grab that YR23 and add a little more just to up that contrast and really make those colors pop. And I really like that addition of the mustard color in there for Christmas. I just think it is something a little different, and that is going to match the pattern paper that I'll be using. I use BG10 to color in the whites of the Santa hat and the glass in the lantern, and then just blended out the edge of that with the colorless blender on the hat, and then trim these out with the matching dies. And there is that pattern paper pad. It is the Simple Stories Winter Farmhouse, and like I said, you can see that that yellow in there just creates a lot of warmth. So I've die cut my focal panels using the MFT wonky stitched circle dies, and then I used the Lawn Fawn stitch hillside borders for the snow drifts. So I'm gluing those circles to a piece of plain white cardstock die cut with the same die, just to give it a little more stability so that I can pop that up on my focal panel later on. And then I'm going to turn that until I can find the place where the stitching detail is going to line up perfectly, and then I can glue that down into place. I wanted to have that really line up well so that, you know, your eye continues along with that stitching detail. It's so nice to have that detail on there, and then if it doesn't quite line up, it might not look, you know, as appealing. So I'll just glue on the additional one, and then I'm going to move on to stamping my sentiments right at the bottom of these snowdrifts. And for that, I'm going to use Lawn Fawn's Sage Leaf ink. It's kind of a muted blue-green, and it matched really well with that pattern paper that I'm using. So on the first one, I'm stamping "'Tis the Season to be Jolly," and that is from the Snow Play stamp set. That was where the little mouse and the cardinals were from. And then on the second focal panel, I'm going to stamp Warm Holiday Wishes. So I wanted each one to be unique. And then once I finish with that, I'm going to pop the card bases in my MISTI and stamp on the inside. So I'm going to do a different image and sentiment on the inside for each one. The first one I'm doing just Season's Greetings, and I'm using another one of the little pigs. There are 4 pigs in that Merry Pigs stamp set, so that worked out perfectly. 2 for the outside and 2 for the inside. And then on the second card base, I'm stamping the little pig that's looking up at the sky, still using the same snowflakes and the sentiment that says "Merriest wishes to you." So now I'm going to begin to add my images, and I'm just gluing them down with some Tombow Mono multi-glue. I like this glue because it gives you a little time to move things around until you're satisfied with their placement, and then it bonds, you know, permanently. So I added the barn behind the snowdrift so it would be set back in the scene and look like it's farther away in the distance so that the size makes sense in relation to the images in the forefront. And then I added the little pig pulling his sleigh with his Christmas tree, and then he's going to get the little lantern in his hand. And then I wasn't sure which pig I wanted to give the Santa hat, so I decided to just move on for now and wait and see how both of the focal panels came out. So on the second focal panel, I'm going to put the little pig holding the gift front and center, and then I'll have the mouse coming in on his right, and then I have the other little gift that's going to go on his left, and I'll put the cardinal that's kind of looking down. I'll put that kind of tucked behind the ribbon, so he's sitting on top of the gift looking down. And then I have the second little cardinal that is going to go on the snow right next to the sentiment, looking up at the little pig. And then I decided to add the little Santa hat to the pig on the left, just to add another pop of red on that card. So now I'm ready for the card assembly. I used the Lawn Fawn large stitch rectangle stackables to cut the largest piece of pattern paper on each of the cards. I'm going to use the same exact layout for both cards, but completely different pattern papers for each. So I'm going to cover up the card front with that largest piece, and that was Lawn Fawn's speckled eggshell cardstock that I made my card bases from. So on this one I have a pretty winter print with a barn in the background, and then I'm adding a soft green and red and cream plaid, and then that pretty mustard yellow floral print went horizontally down toward the bottom of that plaid. And then on the second card, we've got this really pretty white floral with the pine cones and the red berries. And this one is going to get that mustard yellow gingham. And then across that, I'm going to add a dark green, kind of an olivey green polka dot. And I almost put the glue on the wrong side of that pattern paper. I caught myself just in time. So then I've added some foam tape to the back of both of my focal panels. So I'll just peel off the release papers and line those up in the center of that little kind of square that I made with the pattern paper. And then on the second card, I'm just going to line it up exactly the same. Press that down into place once it's nice and straight. And then as a final embellishment, I'm going to grab my favorite crystal stickles and just add a little bit of sparkle here and there. On the card on the left, I'm adding it to the star on top of the tree and the whites of the Santa hat and the candle, and I put a little in the hayloft, and then I'm dotting it on the snowflakes in the background. And on the card on the right, I added it to the bows on all of the gifts, and then again to the centers of all those snowflakes in the background. So just a little bit here and there for some nice subtle sparkle. So once I'm done, I'm going to lift up both of those to the camera so you can see all of the sparkle and shine and give you another peek at the inside. And that is going to complete my cards for today. I'm so glad that I got to use this Merry Pig stamp set. This is another one that I had planned to use last year during my holiday card series, but unfortunately I had to cut the series short when my dog passed away, which today is actually the anniversary of that day. So anyway, so I'm glad I got to use it this year. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video with the two cards, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And go ahead and hit that notification bell if you want to be sure that my videos always end up in your feed. Here's 2 extra videos I thought you might also enjoy from previous holiday card series, and I hope you all have an amazing day. Bye-bye.